Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new video. Welcome to my November monthly reset, one of my favorite videos to film every single month because it helps me stay accountable and really achieve the things that I want to achieve in my life, and I hope that it gives you the motivation to do the same. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Liz, a married mom to 3 in my 40s. Here on my channel, I love to share my authentic journey in learning to live with more intention, save with purpose, and spend with joy. And I love connecting with other women on a similar journey. So if that's you, introduce yourself in the comments. I love chatting with all of you. Like I said, today's video is going to be my monthly reset. We are going to sit down and reflect on the previous month. We're going to set goals and intentions for November. I love to create a little monthly vision board for myself, so we'll go through that together. Also set up our family's November budget. So grab yourself a beverage of choice and let's just hang out for the next little bit. I have my laptop here, so if you see me looking down, I have this page called Own My Life. I wanted to have a space where I got really specific about the things that I wanted to bring into my life. At the beginning of the year, I set goals and intentions for 10 key categories in my life. I really just asked myself, how do I want to feel? What do I want to accomplish? What does my life look like in these 10 key categories? Home, career, income, health, personal, family, adventure, spirit, marriage, and friendships. And I created a vision board that went along with that. Then every single month since that, I have created these resets where I go back to that overall larger goal and intention I've set for that category. I ask myself, how close am I to that goal? Is my life resembling that intention that I've set for myself? And then I create little bite-sized, realistic, and measurable goals that will help me get to whatever it is that that larger goal and intention is for that category. Before I set my goals for the new month, I like to reflect on the previous month. How did it go? What worked? What didn't? What was our budget like? So let's start with an October reflection. October was an amazing month. There's nothing like the Burr months. I absolutely love the last quarter of the year. It's so cozy and magical with Christmas around the corner and, Thanksgiving and Halloween and just so much family time. I absolutely love it. I feel like I did really well, like with the home category. I said that I wanted to decorate minimally for fall, keep it cozy and inviting. It's so easy to think that we need to go and buy all the things and do all the things, and our house needs to look like a magazine. And I'm someone who's guilty of this. If you didn't know, I actually have a separate channel where I do lots of like thrifting and home decor. So I can get really caught up in that. I wanted to have this goal for myself to just remind myself to keep things simple the way that I like them, to use what I already have, to not get caught up in all of the things. And I feel like I did that. I really did. I accomplished that goal. For YouTube, I wanted to post 1 video a week on each channel, which I definitely did. For my income category, every single month I track our finances daily with joy and ease. I've talked about this in so many of my budgeting videos and previous monthly resets, but when I check in with our finances every single day, it makes it so much more manageable, and it also just keeps me connected to what's happening in our bank account, because it can be very easy to fall off track with budgeting, with tracking expenses. So I like to just have that little goal for myself every single month. Another goal, which we will come back to in my November goals, I have find the perfect home in Florida to purchase. So I've talked about it before, but purchasing an Airbnb is something that is on our radar, and we are that much closer. So I'm excited to share the whole thing with you because, to be honest, even having this conversation, even being open to the idea, it's not because we are special or extraordinary people. We're just average people who really stuck to a budget. More on that, but health category, working out 4 to 5 times a week, 10,000 steps a day, meal planning and prepping. I have been definitely trying to do all of that. I would say we're going to the gym 4 versus 5 times a week, but I'm happy with that. I recently shared a video, my monthly reset in real life, where I kind of shared more vlog style of me trying to set these things up for myself. So if you haven't checked that video out, I will link it in my description box. Also getting in the sauna, which is something that I want to continue into November because it just makes me feel so good. There's something so peaceful about a sauna. Can't hear the outside world. And I think that that's really something that I want to do more of too, is to just take more time to just be quiet. Family category, just to continue doing chores together on Saturdays, which we have been doing. Family dinners when we can, absolutely. We've been trying to do that as much as we can. And the spirit category, less scrolling and more learning. I've definitely been trying to learn more and take in less. When I am taking in content, really be mindful of the content that I'm taking in. And this is a great question too to ask yourself, like, is the content that I'm consuming, how is it making me feel? It might be something that you want to take a step back from. So I definitely am being more mindful on that. Marriage category, just having more time together. It can be really easy to push that to the side because we have 3 kids and obviously they're a priority, but it's also important to prioritize your marriage. And that's something that I've learned later on in marriage that I maybe wish that I learned sooner. Friendship category, I wanted to host a ladies' night, which I didn't do, but I did have like a little Halloween get together here. This is a great example of how I break it down. One of my goals is to just entertain more and open up our home more to friends and family. And kind of a bite-sized goal to that would be to host like a ladies' night or an event. And we hosted our Halloween party. So I feel good with that. It was a really fun month, so I love that and I want to continue that energy into November. So now going into November's goals for my key categories for the month of November. For home, I want to do again what I did for fall. Keep the focus on decorating my home in a way that brings us joy and really not get caught up in the commercialism and just remember what the season is really about and stay focused on that. I mean, I still like to have fun and I've thrifted a couple really beautiful pieces that I'm excited to use in my decorating, but I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to feel like I'm keeping up and I also don't want to rush it. So that's definitely something that I want to do for the month of November in my home category. So for my YouTube category, I want to post 1 video a week per channel and I want to stick to routines that support my creativity, and I have in brackets my planner. You're gonna hear me probably talk about my planner a little bit in this video because it has been such an amazing tool for me in just keeping me motivated. If you're someone who can get like easily distracted or bored of organization, I find it so helpful to switch back and forth from planning online and planning with paper. I am like a girl that loves a good checkbox, so I feel like I always end up going to planning with paper, but it is still great to be able to have the option. Like if that feels overwhelming to me or I don't have the time to sit down and like actually plan, it is nice to just be able to plug it into my computer. But it has been such a great tool for me and really helping me stick to, doing what I love and creating videos and being creative. For the income category, I have Find the Perfect Home in Florida and Track Our Finances Daily with Joy and Ease, which of course I always have. My husband and I are actually going to Florida for a quick little trip. We are going to look for some properties. So I think I'm gonna film a separate video just in case that's something you might be interested in, kind of our journey and, trying to find the property and what we're looking for, what we're like the questions we're asking, especially if you're someone who wants to get into purchasing an Airbnb specifically. That's what we wanna do with this property. It wouldn't just be like a second home for us. It would be something that we would hope to create a business out of. So we are doing that this month, which I am very excited about. We're gonna sneak in a little bit of fun too, but I have that as a huge goal for my income category. Moving to health, my goal for the month is to work out 4 to 5 times a week. So continue with the routines that I've created over the past few months. Keep aiming for the 10,000 steps a day. Even if you don't hit 10,000 and you hit 7,000 is still better than nothing. So I'm also reminding myself that. Little Piper here, our dog, she makes it very easy for me to get steps in because she loves to be outside. But yeah, it's really helping me just feel so much more grounded and so much more present, and yeah, just feel good in my body. I also have more meal prepping, which is something I'm really trying to, make a part of my routine. Like everything else, it takes time, and I'm just giving myself lots of grace on that, and just, trying to double up dinners, to have like healthier lunches, trying to get ahead of breakfast and make like overnight oats, or make sure I have the ingredients that I need to make like protein smoothies, and just being more aware. I feel like I have found a good system with dinner. The lunches and breakfast, I need to get better at just prepping more. So that's a goal. And then I'm bringing back no scrolling before noon. Again, I think because we're coming into this time of year where there's lots coming at us, I just want to be really mindful of, again, the content I'm consuming and what I'm seeing. And like, I don't need to see anything before noon because that's such an important part of my day. Don't want to knock myself off of if I'm having a good morning and then I see something that maybe triggers me or makes me feel some sort of feeling. I don't want to consume that at least before noon. For my personal category, I want to continue to get into the sauna at least 2 times a week. I also want to get a pedicure. My family category, I want to focus on making memories. Again, these are like November, December are the 2 best months of the year. I want to fully enjoy these 2 months. And we have a couple really exciting things this month as a family. We're going to like our first family NHL game, or my daughter and I are going on a mother-daughter trip with some friends and their daughters. And I just want to enjoy them and be present. I also have, because I like to have things measurable, meaning I like to have goals that I can actually track and like check off, because I feel like sometimes it can be easy for me to just set goals and then I can't really track like my progress on them. So I try and be mindful of that. So I have one game night. That's something that I would like to do in November, because I think it's nice to remind myself and the kids that it doesn't have to be big, expensive things like going on trips or going to an NHL game. It can just be us crowding around our coffee table, playing a game, enjoying time together. That can be even more meaningful than the other things. So I want to just make sure that we have some balance in November. In my adventure category, I have get away with my husband, which I'm so excited about. And I just have a little note to myself: enjoy every moment. It's a gift. We have been parents for 15 years. We have never done this. This is huge for us. And it's only 3 days. It's going to go by in an instant, but I really want to just remember to be grateful for that time. And even though it's short, it's a gift. And I just don't want to take it for granted. Spirit category, morning journaling, vision board daily, and coloring. I recently purchased a coloring book at the dollar store. It was such a random buy, and it all stemmed because I found at the thrift store, I don't know if you remember those like smelly markers. I found them for like $2 and I was like, oh my goodness, I just want to use those. I used to love to pretend I was a teacher when I was younger and I would use those markers. But I purchased those markers and then I happened to find a coloring book at the dollar store for a couple bucks. And I love coloring. It's so fun. And you know, having cozy hobbies and doing like more of those simple things is really something that I want to definitely focus on going into December, like hunkering in and puzzles and coloring and board games. So I want to make coloring a priority, and I think that would be really good for just my mental health and grounding and just making things more simple. So I have that on my goals for this month. Marriage category, just piggybacking off of my adventure category, just to enjoy my little getaway with my husband. And then also just like walking together, we enjoy that. Just connecting in the morning. We like to have morning chats before we get to the gym super early. It's nice to just have a cup of coffee and just have a few minutes where, you know, we don't really need to be mom and dad in that moment. We can just kind of be Liz and Ange and have a conversation and chat. And then for my final category, which is friendships, I just have be the friend you want to be and reach out to people to say hi. Please let me know if you can relate to this, but there are so many times that a friend will pop into my head and I'm like, oh my goodness, send her a text. And then like I get distracted and I don't act on that. Just remind myself to be the friend that I would love to have, you know, and reach out to people when they pop into my head and invite people over when I can, and not take my friendships for granted. I think friends are such an important part of our lives, and I just want to remember that and not take any of my amazing friends for granted. And that's also all of you. I really try and respond to every single comment and, you know, have conversations and be the person, not even just friend, like be the person that I would want to interact with and I would want to be around. And so definitely keeping that as a focus for November. Moving on to one of my favorite parts of my monthly reset, and that's setting up a vision board for my month. And I like to do this in Pinterest. I love Pinterest. If you ever feel the need to like scroll, honestly, scrolling Pinterest is actually inspiring. I like to go through each of my goals that I've created for each of the categories, and I like to create a little monthly vision board. So select photos from Pinterest that represent that goal. For example, for my health category, working out 4 to 5 times a week. So I'll just go to Pinterest and I'll search woman working out, and then I will see whatever photo inspires me, and then I will just select it and then I'll pin it to a board for that specific month. This would go towards my November vision board. And then I just do that for every single one of my goals. And then a part of my morning routine is to check in with that vision board. So I look at my yearly one that I created and just kind of take time and look at each image. And that's why I'm really selective in the images that I do pick. I make sure that they really do make me feel connected to that goal or intention that I've created. When you create set goals and intentions and you visit with them and move your life in that direction, it's really incredible. So I like to do that for my yearly, and then I spend a few minutes in my monthly one as well. Now for one of my favorite parts, and that is our November budget. I love talking about budgeting, and I really think that there is such a connection to our goals and our life and our money. When you are clear on what it is that you want in your life and the goals that you have, it becomes a little bit easier to say no to things that don't align with those goals. I think that that's like a huge thing that I've learned, especially as someone who can be an overspender, can be someone who gets caught up in all of the things. Once I really sat down and I started to do development and I started to learn more about myself and take more time to set goals, it just became so easy for me to say, no, like I actually don't like that. I would rather not go further into debt to do X, but be able to save the money and then be able to do Y. It's helping you work towards something that is bigger and greater and something more aligned with you and your values. Let's get into November's budget. So November is a little bit of a spendy month. Sinking funds are going to be our best friend. And if you don't know what sinking funds are, I will link a video down below. I'll link a few like how to budget videos. I have one where I take you through step by step how to set up a budget, and I include like a free budget in that video. I also have a sinking funds video where I talk about what sinking funds are, how to use them. I also have a free tracker in that one. And then I just shared my personal budget routine. The behind the scenes of this video of me telling you what all of our numbers are, I have a video where I actually go through and like show you how I do it. That's what I want to do on this channel, is just help give value in any way that I can. I was once someone who knew nothing about money, knew nothing about how to track finances, how to create a budget. We were in a lot of consumer debt. I love to spend money that I didn't have. Hopefully you can find value in any of those videos that I've shared. But for November, I love to share real life and real numbers. I am married and my husband is a little bit more private than I am. I am an open book. As you can see, I say all the things and I tell all the things because that's just who I am. But he has asked in these videos if I don't share our income and our savings amounts. But I do share everything else, our bill amounts, our mortgage amounts. I go through our sinking funds, those types of things. But I do obviously want to respect him and his privacy, so I always like to mention that when I'm about to share our budget. And we like to budget in a zero-based budget way, which means I start my budget with our projected income and then everything gets deducted from that. Whatever is left over from our projected income, keep a little buffer in our account. That also is a travel sinking fund. So if I don't overspend and our budget is as close to what I've created as it possibly can be, then I get to take that extra money that's left over in the account at the end of the month and put that into our travel sinking fund. On to our bills and subscriptions for November. November is a 4-week month, which I love because it means that there's only 4 mortgage payments because we pay our mortgage weekly. So our mortgage is $2,082. Hydro this month was $487.22. Enbridge gas is $150. Property tax is $463.31. Our gym membership, so we both have a gym membership together, and it's $57, which I think is pretty good considering how much we've been using it. Netflix $27.99. Reliance is $120. I always just have a line item for it. It's $120. It is a quarterly payment, but that's just another almost like a little buffer just in case like Hydro's higher or Enbridge gas is higher. Amazon Prime for $24.99. Car insurance and home insurance together is $391. Braces for my son is $124.41. And then cheer payment is $356.51. Then I take what's left over and we go over to expenses. Groceries, I've budgeted $1,200 for groceries. I hope I can stick to $1,200. I have been overspending a little bit in groceries, absolutely. I think it's just the cost of everything right now is just very, very high. And I know a lot of families are feeling that. I'm gonna try really hard to stick to $1,200. Eating out, I have $100. Between everything that we've got going on in November, which you're gonna see come out of our travel/family fun sinking fund in just a little bit, but I really don't think we need to be eating out more than that. Van gas, I have $240. Our dog's food, I have $100 budgeted for that. Gifts, I have $50. We don't have any November birthdays that I know of, unless my kids are invited to like a last minute birthday party, which I do have a gift sinking fund, so I can pull from there, but I like to just have $50 on our budget. So I have that money allocated towards that category. And then if I don't use it, I don't just then put it into my travel sinking fund that I was talking about earlier. I will actually put that in its own sinking fund. So I'm taking that money and I'm saving it even if I don't spend it, so that when I go to make a purchase on something, if it's larger than what I have allocated, I can pull from that sinking fund. Gas for our second vehicle, $60. We don't drive that car too much. Haircuts for my husband and the boys, $125. My pedicure, which was one of my goals, $60. Christmas fun, I have $100 to go towards Christmas fun. So I like to have a seasonal line item in our budget. If I see a fun Christmas puzzle, I can pick it up, or gingerbread houses, going to the tree farm, which we will do in December's budget. All of those kind of extra fun things that you would do for the season, I like to have as a line item. Good to have that aside. And then I have $75 budgeted for protein powder. And then whatever's left over, again, I bring it over to our savings. I have $1,000 going towards travel and family fun. So I'm actually pulling money from our sinking fund, so that becomes a part of our income to then spend in our budget. Pulling $1,000 from our savings account where I keep all of our sinking funds, I'm putting it into our account, and then that money will be available for us to spend on our trip, and it will also go towards our mother-daughter trip that we have at the end of the month. That will kind of take care of all of those things in that one category. I have an extra $150 going towards cheer, and then I have $1,000 budgeted to go towards hockey. So my son does do travel hockey, and we have a hockey tournament this month. So I like to get ahead of that, make sure we're not using credit card, we're not getting into debt. So I do have a sinking fund that I will be pulling from, and then I also have some funds budgeted towards that as well. I don't think we'll spend all of that, but included in that $1,000 is a hotel for 2 nights. Any meals that we do, I will try and do as much as I can in the room, like bagels, Tupperwares of fruit, boiled eggs, like things like that that we can keep in the hotel. But it's just a part of the experience, and you know, another thing that I'm really grateful that we're able to do and that we budget for. And this is where sinking funds really come into play and really help you so much, because $100 a month for 10 months feels way less overwhelming than taking $1,000 from your bank account and putting it towards something. And I really think that that's what's helped us stay out of debt, is being accountable, having those sinking funds, and saving little bite-sized pieces versus like these large, huge purchases. And then getting closer to Christmas, I have $500 budgeted towards Christmas. We do have a Christmas sinking fund that I've been slowly contributing to over the past 9 months. I wanna have a little bit more this month, also doing Black Friday shopping at the end of the month for our mother-daughter trip. I wanna have some extra money to go towards like any Black Friday purchases of Christmas gifts that I might see. So I have that budgeted as well. $100 to go towards kid stuff. So kid stuff is anything that they might need, like school supplies. Last month on my kid stuff line item, I bought like mitts and toques and things like that. Anything that they might need, I like to have some money allotted for that. And then I have $100 for home projects. And then I have my buffer, whatever is left over in my account. Again, I try and keep anywhere from $300 to $500 depending on what our income is for the month. I try and keep that in our account. And then at the end of the month, if we stick to the budget, that money gets transferred to my favorite category, the travel family fun sinking fund. That is my November monthly reset. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me. I hope I was able to give you some motivation, inspiration. I am so grateful for every single one of you, and I can't wait to see you all in my next video. Bye everyone.